Alright, by the time you're done with this video, you are going to be knowing how to do Verus Hilla in Maplestory. So this video is going to be structured in two parts. The first part is us going over a pattern guide by this guy over here, the goat, Lucy Perin. Yeah, I think that's how you say that. And the second part is me going to actually be doing vhilla and commentating on what I'm doing, what I'm looking out for, what my thought process is. So yeah, I hope this video helps. And if you enjoyed the video, obviously I would appreciate any sort of support towards the video. And if you have any questions, of course, leave a comment and I will answer them. With that being said, let's begin. So vhilla obviously has a lot of HP. There's hard and normal mode. When this video came out, there was no normal mode, but there is a normal mode now that has, I believe, half the amount of HP as hard. So vhilla is the first boss that you're going to encounter in this game that has an alternate way of failing the boss. Everything so far, the only way that you fail out of the boss is by losing all your lives. You die and that's it. The boss is over. But in vhilla, there's a new system that is introduced that will make it so that you can fail the boss without losing any lives at all. So there's two conditions that you have to be thinking of while doing this boss. This is actually really good because later on in more endgame bosses, all those bosses have a condition to fail out of them without dying out. So it's very important to get used to this type of mechanic. So you're going to see when you enter vhilla, you're going to have these 5 green skulls at the top of your screen. These skulls represent your lives, so keep that in mind. So if you die traditionally by your HP reaching 0, you will lose one of your green skulls, therefore meaning you have only 4 lives, obviously. Now it says if your soul is taken, a skull will turn red. So what does that mean? So if the skull is red, that means that when the FMA or the test happens, that means you will lose the red skull, basically meaning you will lose that life. That'll make more sense in a second, but essentially a red skull means that you might lose that life unless you cleanse it. So you have to cleanse it before the test happens. So this is the test. This happens every so often throughout the boss. I'm going to explain to you when it happens and what to look out for before the test happens. But if this animation happens on the screen, you will lose the current red lives you have, meaning that your life count will go down. You see, we had 2 red lives out of 4, and now we lost both of them because the test happened. If every one of your skulls turns red, you will automatically fail out and you're done. Keep that all in mind. It'll make sense in a bit, but let's go over some of her actual mechanics that you're going to encounter. So this might seem like a lot, but if we break it down, it's not too bad. So throughout the boss, there's going to be these hands that, obviously are on top of the screen, and each hand shoots out strings. Now, if you get hit by that string, your skull will turn red. So this is one of the biggest and main mechanics in the boss that you have to keep in mind. Obviously, as we mentioned before, if your skull turns red, that means you have to cleanse it before the test happens. And if the test happens when your skull is red, you will lose that life. Now, you'll notice that these strings, because there's so many of them, it restricts movement. So movement in this boss is incredibly important. When you do this boss, you're going to learn how to control your character better than any boss you've learned before, because these strings will obviously restrict your movement a lot, and you have to be very careful where you stand, and you have to think about where you're standing a lot. You can't just stand anywhere. The other thing about these strings, despite what it shows here, is usually they don't happen at the same time. Usually they have their own timers and there's space to move around. By the way, this video is sped up a little bit, 1.25, just so we could get through it a little bit faster. So these strings have safe areas, so he boxed them in. So this spot in the middle, this spot to the right a little bit, this spot to the right side of the hourglass is safe, and then the right corner is safe. There's actually another spot that's safe over here, the left side of the hourglass. This is also safe that he didn't box in. So there are these 5 safe spots that no matter what the string pattern is, you will never get hit by the string in these spots. So it's very important to know what these spots are and to maneuver around these spots, because you won't get hit by any of the strings. Now, with that being said, it's not like you never want to get hit by any of the strings. Sometimes you do want to get hit by the strings so that you can cleanse, which we'll explain in a bit how you can cleanse and get rid of your red skulls. If you do get hit by a string, not only does it give you the red skull, it also makes you unable to move for 2 seconds. So you can see he's standing in the line of the string. He's unable to move and his soul gets taken away from him. As you can see, he gets hit and then one of your skulls turns red. Whenever you get hit by a string, depending on which hand hit you, 3 fragments come out, and those fragments do damage. Obviously, they will fly down towards you. Now, this is another very, very, very important thing about this boss, is there is no healing. So you can't use potion, lifesteal doesn't work, healing like a bishop heal doesn't work. None of that works in this boss. The only way that you can heal is if you use the altar, which cleanses you and unlocks your potion. Or if you're on a server that has healing familiars also heal you. This is very, very, very important, and this is part of the reason why people struggle with this boss a lot. So the only way that you can heal is by summoning the altar, which cleanses you and allows you to heal. So right now you can see he's at 2 skulls, right? 2 red skulls out of 5. And you'll notice that there are these candles in the background. There are 2 lit candles, right? Out of 3 candles, this one's not lit. Because you have 2 red skulls, that means 2 of them are lit. Now, I wonder what happens when all 3 of the candles are lit. When you have 3 skulls, to summon the altar, light all the candles in the center. So you need to light up all of the candles to summon the altar. So this is why I mentioned earlier that it's important to sometimes take the strings on purpose, because if you're at 2 and you know that the test is about to happen soon, you're going to want to catch another string so that all of the candles can be lit up, and so you could cleanse and you're back at 5 lives. So these candles are dependent on how many people are in the party. So if you're soloing this, well, it's not just dependent on how many people in the party, it's dependent on how many people in the party and how many lives you have left. So if you're soloing this, there's going to be less candles required to lit up, obviously, because you're only 1 person with 5 lives. But if you're in a party of 6, everybody's lives are accounted for the candles. So there's going to be like 15 candles in the background, which means that everybody has to be playing in sync with each other. You can't have one person that refuses to drop down and take strings, because it'll just kill everybody. So as soon as he takes that 3rd skull, the 3rd candle lights up and the altar appears. Once the altar appears, you have to spam your interact key near it. You don't have to be directly on top of it. You could be standing like right here and it'll still activate the altar. If you just spam your interact key super fast, the altar will go into the ground, and once it completely disappears, everybody in the party is completely cleansed and you lose all of your red skulls. They all turn into green skulls again. As you can see. And bam, once the altar's gone, everybody's red skulls turn back into green skulls, and all the candles are extinguished. Now, the thing is, though, with this altar, is vhilla teleports around in this boss, vhilla herself, and if she teleports onto you while the altar is there, she completely destroys the altar, so you have to wait for it to respawn again. It doesn't mean you have to catch strings for it to respawn again. It'll just respawn again naturally, but it takes a few seconds. So you have to make sure that she's not there. Now, this is where the FMA part comes in. The FMA, you'll notice on either side of the boss are these hourglasses. These hourglasses tell you how much time you have left until the FMA. Once the top part of the hourglass completely empties, then the FMA will happen right away. So you have to be watching these hourglasses. Now, these hourglasses, the rate at which they diminish is dependent on how much health she has. The lower health that she has, the faster they deplete, which means tests will happen more often. So it becomes more and more dangerous to take strings because you have to cleanse a lot quicker. But at the start of the boss, the hourglass goes down really slowly, so you have a lot of time to cleanse. And once it depletes, obviously the FMA will happen, and any of the red skulls throughout the party will be removed, and you will lose that many lives. And then, dependent on how many lives are lost, the candles will be adjusted. So let's say you lost 2 lives. That means, let's say you're soloing and you have 5 lives, and you lost 2 lives because of the test. Instead of the candles being at 3, there's only going to be 2 candles now. So you only have to take 2 strings to be able to cleanse. Speed of hourglass accelerates at certain points. Yeah, so obviously when the boss is full HP, it's every like 2.5 minutes, and then it goes down to about 2 minutes, and then it goes down to about 1.5 minutes. So it gets quicker and quicker and quicker. So Hilla herself has 4 HP bars, right? She has the red one, the pink one, the yellow one, and the dark green one. And dependent on how much health she has, she unlocks different mechanics. So when she's at full health, she doesn't do that many attacks. When she's at 1 bar down, she starts unlocking more attacks. Another bar down, even more attacks. And when she's on her last bar, she has all of her attacks unlocked, and the boss is at its hardest point. So this boss gets much harder as she gets weaker and weaker. So that's very important to mention, because you don't want to be losing lives early into the boss, because it's only going to get harder later on. In my opinion, I think the blue attack is probably her most important attack to dodge. So the blue attack, she has it right away from the start of the boss, what this does is she shoots out like a bunch of like blue ghosts in front of her. And if you're standing in this area, you will be completely unable to move. You can't Hero's Will out of it. You can't do anything. The only way to dodge it is if you iframe it, or you jump over it, or you're behind her, or you're too far away, you're standing over here or something. But she does this blue attack very often, so you have to get used to dodging it. And since you can't move, then she smacks you and you get sent across the whole map. And keep in mind, this is as strings are happening too. So you could catch a string while you're being thrown across the map or immobilized by her blue attack. It doesn't do that much damage, but it immobilizes you and sends you across the map, which displaces you and could get you in a lot of trouble. Now, Hilla herself, the reason also why this attack is so dangerous is she teleports to you or a random party member very often. So she'll send you across the map and then teleport to you. That happens a lot. So she'll push you and then teleport to you, and then you think you're safe because you're away from her, but no, she goes back to you like right away. So yeah, this is a good frame to know, because as she's charging the attack, that's when you need to react to either jump over her or go behind her or back up. It's pretty quick, but you can definitely dodge it. So this is basically like her basic attack that she spams all the time as well, is she just doesn't damage around her. That's it. This eventually gets turned into, as the boss goes on, like an AoE around her, but it's just like a small attack in front of her. Now, the thing about this hitbox is a lot bigger than you think. I know it looks like it's over here, but you'd get hit even if you were standing like here. So it's bigger than you think, so you need to back up. She also has this attack, which also has a bigger hitbox than you think. It might seem like it's only like this crescent shape, but it actually like extends like over here as well. So phase 2, you could think of each bar as its own phase. So phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. But just think of it as like, you know, now you're on her second bar of HP. She's unlocked more mechanics now. Now keep in mind, all of the previous bars attacks, like the bar of HP, she can still do. She just has more moves now. So you can see her swing now is in both directions as well. And they shoot out these skulls. Now these skulls do a lot of damage if they hit you. The best way I would dodge them is just jumping over it, because then you would dodge everything. You would dodge the scythe and the skull. But another way that people dodge it is by ducking. So you can duck under the skull. All you have to do is just hold down. It looks like there's no room, but you can duck under it. Now, this is also very important because this attack pretty much hits the whole map depending on where she's standing. It's the green and the purple. So this one is the green. So the green, you need to stand in front of her. Now, when I say in front of her, I don't mean on top of her. I mean like 2 characters away from on top of her. So like around here is where you would stand, and you will be completely safe. You won't get hit by anything. So you could see by the green attack, like basically where her scythe is, that's where you want to stand. You won't get hit. And she shoots out these bones in front of her and behind her. This is actually a good way of showing the space as well. There's this little box in front of her. If you were standing here, you won't take damage. But you could see behind her, there's an attack there, and you will get hit. Now, it's very important to know that this hitbox is not a one and done. So let's say, for example, you're standing here, right? So that means you're safe because you're standing here. If you try to back up as this one is spawning in, you will get hit by this one over here. You will get hit by it, even though you were safe over here. You have to wait for the attack to fully complete before you move around. So like at this point, then you could start moving around. You can't just dodge the first part of it and then back up a little too early. You'll get hit by the end part of the attack as well. And it does 50%, which is a lot. And obviously you can't heal in this unless you have healing fams. As you can see, you have to stay in front of her. Now there's the purple as well. The purple is the exact same thing, except you have to be behind her. So everything I just said about backing up too early and getting hit by the second part of the attack, the square behind her as well, you have to be behind her. It's the exact same thing, but just behind her. As you can see, there's like a safe spot right here. So it's the same thing. You could dodge this one, this big bone over here, but then if you back out too early, you're going to get hit by this part at the back. So she also starts summoning her minions, I guess is what you call it. Now, these things don't really do that much to you. They're just annoying. But the more annoying part is when you try and kill them. So I'll show you in a second. So they do an attack around them, but they have so little HP that you can kill them very quickly. You almost never even encounter these attacks. Now, the problem is when they turn into a corpse. When you kill them, in quotation marks, they just sit there on the ground. And that area becomes a area that you don't want to stand in, because if you're standing on top of it, you will constantly be taking damage. So it kind of limits your movement. Now, it's even more dangerous when this corpse is on one of the safe spots, because if it's on a safe spot, then that means that spot is not safe anymore, obviously. You need to kill the corpse 3 times before it actually goes away. So you kill it, it turns into a corpse, then it comes back up, and then you kill it again, it turns into a corpse, then it comes back up, you kill it again, then it's gone. So you see he comes back up. You must kill it 3 times before it's completely gone. She also starts doing the poison. So essentially what it does, it also just restricts your movement. It doesn't do too much damage, but I've seen people forget about the poison before and they just die. Just keep in mind that the poison will be there in certain spots of the map, and just don't be there. My advice is you want to put her in a position that she's not near the poison, because she TPs around. So you would want her to TP her like over here or in the middle or in the left corner where the poison isn't. Because if you're standing in the poison while attacking her, you're just going to lose all your health. So now in her 3rd bar of HP, she unlocks even more attacks. She's going to unlock Lotus. So she summons Lotus, and it's not like actual H Lotus. It's just another summon of hers. So if you're standing on Lotus, you're going to take damage just being around it. And Lotus has the push, which is the exact same thing as hard Lotus push. So it'll push you, it'll deal damage, and it'll displace you. So it's very important to not get hit by this. Now, the good thing is that Lotus doesn't have that much HP. So it's really easy to kill Lotus and just kind of forget that he's there. But don't sleep on the push, though. The push is dangerous. Now, he does the sun, just like H Lotus. The sun bounces around and gets bigger. And obviously, it's dangerous. It doesn't do too much damage, but it is something to keep in mind. It's just another thing that limits your movement and does a little bit of damage to you. So Lotus will also, just like vhilla, teleport to you every so often. But again, he's really easy to kill, so usually you don't have to worry about him that much. Now, in her last bar of HP, she also summons Damien. So all the attacks that I mentioned before, she could do all of them in this last part. Damien, just like Lotus, isn't that tanky, so usually you can get rid of him pretty quickly. He has his charge, obviously. Doesn't do that much damage, but it can displace you. He has his dive. It's not like the dive in Damien where it just one-shots you. It does damage to you, but it doesn't one-shot you. And that's it. He only has those 2 attacks, so Damien's not that dangerous. And if you can get through all of it, then you've obviously cleared. And then the rewards are obviously soul shards, source of suffering. If you're super lucky, source of suffering can only drop from hard. It doesn't drop from normal. And there's a chance of getting arcane boxes. At the time of this video's making, obviously there was no arcane boxes, but you can also get arcane boxes and daybreak pendant. So hopefully that made vhilla more understandable. Now we're going to move on to me actually doing the boss, and I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking, what my plan is, and everything like that. So here I am outside of vhilla. I buffed up just so we could get through the phases quicker. And the first thing that you're going to want to check if you have heal fams is you're going to want to put them on. So I only have 2 like medium-sized heal fams. Some of you might have bigger heal fams, some of you might have smaller ones, but honestly, as long as you have something, it's probably good enough. If you want to be super safe, if you want to be learning, just run the 3 large heal fams so you can get a feel of the boss. But for me, I'm going to run 2 medium heal fams because I don't have anything else. So let's enter. The first thing I'm going to do when I enter is I'm going to immediately want to pop my burst, because at the start of the boss, there really isn't much going on. But yeah, that's what you guys should do, is you would want to burst like right away. But since this is a demonstration on the boss mechanics, I'm going to take it all slow. So we're going to enter. So remember the safe spots, right? You're going to be seeing me move around the safe spots a lot. As you can see, right in the middle where you spawn in is a safe spot. Over here on the left of this pillar is a safe spot. As you can see, the string doesn't hit me. And then over here on this right side of the pillar is also a safe spot. And then the right corner is a safe spot as well, as you could see. So none of the strings hit me there, right? Okay, so I just got hit by a string. You see, I'm just one-shotting these little guys that summon. So you don't really have to worry about them that much. They just get one-shotted. Oh, my fams aren't even out. I'm trolling. So you see me, you're going to want to get used to the safe spots, right? So she TPs around to you a lot, as you could see. Every time I'm at a safe spot, she just pulls up immediately, right? So you want to get used to knowing where the safe spots are and maneuvering around them, because she constantly moves to you. So you could see here, can I move this? I can't move this. Oh my God. You can see here that I'm at 2 red skulls, right? So if I get hit by 1 more string, I'm going to be summoning the altar, right? There's 2 out of the 3 candles lit up, and now there's 3 out of 3. So the altar spawns at a random place in the map. So I'm going to spam my interact key, and now I can heal. I pressed my potion pot, which healed me. And now I'm back at 5 out of 5 skulls, right? Now you can see the hourglass is ticking down, right? So that means the test is going to happen somewhat soon. I'd say when the hourglass is 1 more stage down, that's when you would want to start looking to cleanse. because it's going to happen very soon, but you still have enough time. So once it's at this point, you would want to cleanse. So this is what I'm going to do. Little pro tip is you can use Hero's Will to dodge the, or to not get stunned by the string and take multiple strings at once. So I'm going to take Hero's Will here. And now you see I got hit by 2 red skulls without getting stunned. So if you want to cleanse super fast, that's a really good way of doing it. I'm going to take 1 more string. And the altar spawned on me, which is lucky. And now I cleanse all of my skulls off. You can see this blue attack. She's constantly doing it and TPing to me, right? And there's the mist. So I'm gonna get hit by the blue attack on purpose here. Oh, but the FMA happened. So if you notice, when the FMA happens, you and her and everything that's going on is iframed. So it's a quick breather from everything. So I'm gonna get hit by the blue attack here. Hit me with the blue. Okay, she's just doing her basic attacks. So I'm gonna get hit by the blue here. And you're gonna see I'm gonna get smacked across the map. So it's very dangerous to get hit by the blue. Now these skulls, right? These minions. Oh, thanks for the follow. These minions that spawned in, I'm staying away from them because standing on top of them does a lot of damage. So you can kill them in maybe like 1 or 2 hits, right? But just keep in mind that when they're in the ground, they are very, very dangerous. But that's basically all of the P1 mechanics that you have to keep in mind. She's going to constantly be teleporting to you, spamming blue, spamming her basic attack. So if you just keep your distance from her or stay behind her, you'll be pretty much fine in this first phase. And then the minions that she summons, just kill them. If you're like a explorer thief or you have some sort of summon, just place your summon down and it'll probably kill them really easily. So I'm going to catch some strings here so that I can cleanse. See, I could just jump over it like that. No problem. Now, another pro tip for vhilla is you don't necessarily always want to be at full green strings at all time. Sometimes it's okay to stay at 2 red skulls like this when you're at full HP, so that when you do need to cleanse, you can just take 1 string and you will be able to cleanse really quickly. Now, the reason why this is beneficial is sometimes you don't have a lot of time to cleanse, and let's say there's not that much time left, you would want to be able to take only 1 string and get the full cleanse off instead of waiting and taking 3 strings all at once. So you could see, like, I could have cleansed like a minute ago, but I don't, right? Which gives me a lot of time to be able to hit her and not really worry about having to cleanse. So since I know that the test is about to happen soon, I'm going to try to take 1 more string really quickly and cleanse. There you go. See, I only had to take 1 string. If I was at full HP at 5 green skulls while that happened, I would have had to take 3 strings all at once, which I wouldn't have had enough time for. So sometimes it's okay to take a string on purpose at the start of the test or right after the test happens, so that it's easier for me to cleanse later when I actually do need to cleanse. But yeah, so let's try and get to the next phase. So I'm just gonna DPS her here. You can see that I try to stay behind her. And ideally I want to stay behind her because most of her attacks are in front of her. That attack goes behind her as well, so you have to keep that in mind. But the stuff like the blue and the attack that's only in front of her, the skulls, all that stuff, it's only those attacks are only in front of her. So staying behind her is generally better than staying in front of her. That attack has a really big hitbox. You could see, like, I was a good ways away from her and I still took damage there. Now when she's doing blue, it's actually a really good opportunity to hit her because she's not moving. She's going to be standing in place for a while. So I'm going to try to burst her here a little bit just so we could get to the next phase. Okay, so now that she's at 73% HP, she unlocks the green and purple. You can see she does it right away. The moment she's in the next threshold of HP, she'll start doing her new attacks. So I'm going to try and cleanse here. She's going to TP to me, which is what you always want to do ideally. You want to get her to TP to you right before you cleanse, because it'll make it so that she's not stepping on the altar. So now that she's in her second bar of HP, like I said, she's going to be doing green and purple more often. So let's see when she does green and purple. And as I mentioned before in the video, she likes to spam the blue attack a lot. She does this all the time. So the blue attack is very important to learn how to dodge. This is the this is the skull attack, so you want to just stay ducked when she does this. When she like goes down a little bit and she spins around, she's gonna summon skulls like this. So you could just stay ducked and you won't get hit by anything. See? You'll only take a little bit of damage, and now the test happened. Let's see if she does green and purple. She's still doing blue. So you can see she loves doing this blue attack all the time. She's probably gonna TP to me soon because I'm like a good distance away from her. So how the TP usually works is if you're in distance of blue, she's probably going to do blue, green, or purple. And then if you're too far away, she's going to TP to you. That's how her attacks work. Now, having her in the corner, despite what a lot of people say, I don't really think is that good. Because if she does purple in the corner, you really can't dodge it. So there's green. I want to stand in front of her. So I'm standing on the skull, right? Oh my god. That's a perfect example, right? That's a perfect example. So I was standing on the skull because that was the spot that was safe in front of her, right? But I was still taking damage because I was standing on the skull, but it was less damage than I would have taken from tanking the green. But if you saw earlier, I dashed into the corner too early and I got hit by the end part of the green, which is exactly what I told you guys to be careful of, right? So green, stand in front of her, right? Don't got to worry about it. Wait for the entire attack to finish, and then you can move. Let's see if she does a purple. So she's doing blue. Back up. Don't stand near her. As you can see, there's a lot of corpses on the ground. There's a lot of gas around her. So being around her is very dangerous. You want to get her to TP out of all of the garbage that's around her. Whether it's the corpses or whether it's the poison. You want to get her away from all those things so that you can move around and attack her better. Now you want to keep in mind of the hourglass at all times. So you can see it's getting kind of low here. There's a green, so I'm going to iframe because I wasn't in the right position. I was stunned by the string, so I had to iframe there. So she was standing on the altar there, you could see, and I broke it. And I had to wait for it to respawn, and now respawn, and I'm good. And the test is about to happen. When test is about to happen, you want to play more safe, just because you don't want to tank a string right before the test happens and lose a life for no reason. So when it gets to the sliver of the hourglass like this, try your best to just stay safe. You can still greed the DPS if you want, but if you want to play safe, now is the perfect time to do it. But since the test just happened, the hourglass is filled up, so I'll have a lot of time to DPS her and to run around. So let's try and get her to her next threshold here. Now keep in mind, using skills like True Arachnid Reflection and Solar Crest costs HP, and you obviously can't heal in this boss unless you have healing fams, so they're very dangerous to use. She loves to spam blue. She loves this shit, bro. Purple, gotta stay behind her. Even though I'm standing on the skull, it's still worth it. Because the purple just does way more damage. So stand on the skull for a few seconds. Even though you might take a little bit of damage, it's still better to do that. So if you can bind her in the middle of her attacks, and she'll stop, just like that. Okay, I'm at 4. Green, so you can tank it. You can tank it. You won't just get one shot. But it does do 50%, which is a lot, obviously. Purple, stay behind her. As you can see. I'm just going to try and get her down to her next phase here. So now that she's at 50%, she can start summoning Lotus. Skull attack. So I'm keeping my distance from her. So there's Lotus, right? And you can see, like, there's the push, but I hit Lotus just like 2 times and he died. You know what I mean? She summons Lotus again, right? Just hit Lotus a few times and he's dead. Like, obviously, like, I'm much more... I have a lot more damage than this that is necessary for this boss. But regardless, even if you're doing this boss at low damage, Lotus is not hard to kill. So if you have some sort of summon or, like, AoE when you do attack, like if you're an Adele or something, like, just as you're cleaving the boss, as your swords are flying around, like, he's just gonna die, right? Like, you don't really have to worry about Lotus that much. Purple, stay behind. But you can see the test is happening more often now because her HP is getting lower. The hourglass is draining a lot quicker. Now, another very important thing about the blue is you only have to dodge the blue as it's coming out. So I'll show you what that means, right? So if she does the blue, now when I want her to do it, she doesn't do it, bro. So if she does the blue, right? Yo, do the blue attack. Okay, I'm going to dodge it. And now I'm standing in the blue here, right? And I didn't get stunned. She'll still push you if you're standing in the blue zone. But because I dodged the initial blue, I can still move. But if I get hit by it as it's coming out like this, then I can't move. So I'm going to stay at 2 red skulls on purpose, just so that when the hourglass gets really low, I can cleanse by only taking 1 string instead of having to take 3 strings. Okay, so I was a little too early there. Green, stay in front of her. Kill the corpse. Took another string. Gonna cleanse here. Now I'm gonna try to be safe because there isn't too much time until the FMA. Purple, stay behind her. I'm gonna tank this one just because there was a string there. It's very dangerous. But obviously because I'm really low HP because I tanked the purple, I have to be extra careful. You could also just jump over the skulls. See, there's a lot of like garbage around her, right? A lot of the corpses are around her. The poison is over here, so I want to TP her away from all of that and get her like on this side because there's nothing here that can really like hurt me, right? And there's the FMA. So we're gonna try and get her to her last bit of HP right now. So you can see I'm just kind of rotating sides around her. I'm in a position where there aren't any like skulls or anything. I don't want to stand where this gas is. So I'm going to be constantly trying to move out of that. I'm going to Origin Burst here. So now she's in her last bit of HP, right? She's going to be able to summon Damien. And all of our attacks are going to be there. And the test is going to be happening very often. So there's Lotus. Kill Lotus right away. She tries to do her blue. Kill Lotus. Be careful for the gas. Let's see where Damien is. Okay, there's Damien. So we're going to see Damien. He's going to do the dash here, right? Duck. So I don't get hit by the dash. He's going to do the dive. Right? Go under him. If you're under him, you won't get hit by the dive. And then I'm just going to kill him. Right? Super squishy. Don't really have to worry about him. So I'm going to take some strings here. I'm going to Hero's Will to take the string without getting stunned. Oops. And now I can cleanse. Test is happening super often here. You can hit Damien while he's in the air. So you really don't have to worry about Damien that much. Oh, I took the string here. So I'm going to actually just lose this string because I took it right before the test. There's not enough time to cleanse. Test is about to happen. And now I lost a life because I didn't cleanse it, right? So now there's only two candles, right? So if you really think about it, being at 4 lives is actually better than 5 because you only have to take 2 strings to summon the altar instead of having to take 3 strings to summon the altar. Maybe it's copium, but I think it's better. But, I mean, that's basically all her mechanics at this point. Just make sure she's positioned well. Make sure you rotate the safe sides. Make sure you're watching the hourglass so you know when the test is going to happen. And make sure you're not standing on the skulls. Or on the corpses, I mean. So you can see, like, this is, like, I'm standing in a safe spot and I'm DPSing her, right? Okay, I walked a little too close. So there's purple into green. Stand in front of her. Stand still for a little bit. Purple, right? I'm just rotating around the safe spot. There's a safe spot right here. See, she's spamming, bro. She doesn't want to die. She's spamming. But unfortunately, your time is up. So hopefully this helped you guys learn vhilla a lot more. Again, if there's anything that you guys don't understand or you're confused with, please let me know. But yeah, go get your sources, bro. Go get your sources. I'm sure there's going to be somebody that's going to be like, yo, I got my first clear and I got source. Dub. Well, you can't flex on me because I have one too. Okay, so there you go. Anyways, congratulations on making it through this video. Hopefully, again, you learned vhilla a lot better. I know it's a long video, but I want to get through every single mechanic. I want to actually show you the mechanics in real bosses, not just looking at a guide. I want to give you my thoughts of what I was thinking throughout the boss. And yeah, again, if this video helped you out, please consider supporting me. whether it's through subscribing or liking or coming to my Twitch stream or something. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I appreciate you guys a lot. Shout out to my amazing members: Blazefire, Shooms, Uju, Shagad, Ravi Espa, Grim 4K, Koga, Pabo, Piconir, and Jesse. I appreciate you guys so much.